Hey everybody, welcome to Grab a Stack of Rock. I have a special impromptu episode here. This is hot off the presses stuff, Record Store Day 2024. And we are here with Peter Kerr from Rock Daydream Nation, who has returned with news and bounty from Record Store Day, which happens earlier in Australia.
Absolutely. So went with a mate of mine, Phil. We lined up at 7:15 in the morning, which was quite abnormally early for us on a Saturday morning. And we were number 43 in the queue, and the queue went up to about 110 at the local record store in Parramatta, Sydney, Australia. And it was a successful journey. We got everything that we wanted. So with Record Store Day in Australia, usually the record stores publish the list of the albums that they have. So you print it out, you get your highlighter pen, mark out the ones that you want, bring it in, and line up for a couple of hours. So I'm a little tired, but I'm pumped up with coffee, and I must admit the adrenaline is rushing because everything that I wanted to get, I was able to get, and so did my mate. So if you don't mind, I'll show a little bit of vinyl, and apologies, folks. Some of this, the inner details of what the albums are, I'm a little bit rusty, but I can certainly just flash some vinyl up and we can take it from there. So, all right, I'll start off if you don't mind.
Yeah.
First one is Motorhead, Remorse No. So this is a alternative take of a compilation album, which I think came out, had a black cover, and a mate of mine actually has a leather-bound cover, which is quite rare. Yeah. And it's like Motorhead's greatest hits. So I don't know, I'll put it up. You can sort of see Ace of Spades alternative version, Motorhead, Jailbait, Stay Clean, Killed by Death, Thank You, Steal Your Face. And so I'm really looking forward to this. So it's got on the front cover a 40th anniversary reimagined redux of 1984, the legendary compilation No Remorse, featuring previously unreleased rare and live tracks and new sleeve notes. So I haven't opened that up, but I'm really looking forward to cracking open the plastic and playing that. And it's basically a greatest hits, but it's got lots of, there's demos, there's alternative versions, and I'm really looking forward to that. So when I saw that on the list, I thought I had to get that, and I'm glad I did. So Motorhead, Remorse, No. So hopefully some folks can pick that up. Thin Lizzy, Live and Dangerous at Hammersmith, 16th of November 1976. And then, look at that. Jailbreak, Massacre, Emerald, Johnny the Fox meets Jimmy the Weed, The Boys Are Back in Town. So this is the classic lineup. 1976 was a great year because they had two killer albums. It was basically, you had Johnny the Fox and Jailbreak, one after the other. Well, Jailbreak and then Johnny the Fox. And that was when Thin Lizzy were at the top of their commercial powers. But look, a lot of folks say, why do you need to get another Thin Lizzy Live and Dangerous is, all you really need. But how live was Live and Dangerous? So, I'm glad that I got this. This is actually off the songboard. I'm really looking forward to hearing this. And it's the classic Lizzy lineup with Phil and the lads and, with the mid-70s. So I'm looking forward to hearing that. Next one, John Lennon, Mind Games. Okay.
EP.
So this is the EP, and this was, it's only got 4 tracks on it, but this is like a teaser of a remix or remastering of the Mind Games album that's going to be coming out later this year. So you've got Mind Games Ultimate Mix, I'm the Greatest, with George Harrison, Ringo Starr, and Klaus Vormann, and some other tracks, some outtakes. So I'm really looking forward to. I've always been a big fan of that particular album. A lot of people go to Imagine and maybe the first couple of albums of John Lennon solo, but I've always liked Mind Games. I think it's underrated, and looking forward to listening to that. It's a remix, but it's a teaser of the full album that's coming out. So I thought that would have a little bit of value, and looking forward to listening to this. Now, next couple of albums are more sort of regional specific, or a little bit more sort of boutique to your usual viewers. So just bear with me. This band is called Nocturum. So the background to this band is it's the lead guitarist, or the ex-lead guitarist from The Church, Marty Wilson Piper. He was like the sideman to Steve Kilbey with a lot of the Church, their greatest, run of albums, of Skins and Heart, Starfish. The Church were probably known best in America, or the North America, for Under the Milky Way and Reptile, which had a little bit of a commercial impact. But Nocturum is one of the bands that Marty Wilson Piper had, in the last sort of 10 years or so. And how would I describe it? It's like psych, power pop, alternative music. So I have not heard a lot of it, but it's a band that I want to explore. And basically, I am a Church fan through and through. And the name Marty Wilson Piper just sort of attracted my attention. So this is like a bit of a blind purchase. And this is the wonders of Record Store Day. Sometimes you just go down a path and take a punt. And I'm looking forward to having a listen to that particular album. Now, we go to New Zealand. A band called The Chills. Now, The Chills come from Dunedin, and they were, how would I describe them? Art rock or alternative rock. They are on the Flying Nun label. A lot of bands like the Bats, the Verlaines. It's sort of a musical style that was unique to New Zealand that, you couldn't really say anywhere, sounds like anywhere in the rest of the world. Influenced by bands, post-punk bands like The Cure, maybe Gang of Four, a little bit of punk. But The Chills were one of New Zealand's, best known bands out of that label, or the Dunedin music scene, the Flying Nun. And this is called their Lost EP, and it's off their first record. And these are songs that were supposedly going to be put through for an album, but never eventuated. And I think the story goes that the tapes were lost, or they may have been in a locker somewhere, and they finally discovered it and remastered it and put it together. And it's great that they have put this together. So this is The Chills and the Lost EP. And the very last album is another band that came out of that Dunedin, Flying Nun. And Flying Nun is a music label in New Zealand, just to clarify, similar to The Chills, and it's called the Verlaines. So I would put the music as alternative art rock. This is one of their later albums, and I've never heard this before. So again, this is I'm familiar with the Verlaines, but I'm going to just give this a little bit of a spin. And it's sort of that sort of jangly pop, power pop, alternative music, but in the similar wheelhouse to The Chills. So there you have it. That's
mostly bands that I've never heard of, but that's all right.
I've heard that's why I started off with Motorhead and Thin Lizzy, and then go into the more obscure things. But that's what Record Store Day is about. There's regional stuff, and there's stuff that you're competing with the rest of the world. And
right.
The way it sort of goes is our record store would send a newsletter to those regular customers, or on Facebook, and say, tell us what you would like us to order in, because there's generally an over list for what's available to the world. And you put your selections in, and then it's either the night or the night before the night where you get a list, and it tells you what's available and what they've got in, and then you go from there, and you line up, and first in, first served, and that's the way it operates. But I got everything I wanted, and as I said, it was a mix of some popular metally hard rock ones and some regional sort of more niche bands. And yeah, there you
Brilliant.
go.
It's so rare to get everything you want, for one thing. I applaud you for having the patience to wait in that line, because that's the reason I'm not going to Record Store Day tomorrow. There's a double live Def Leppard that I want, and there's the Eric Carr Unfinished Business that I want, but I'm going to have to do what they call paying the late tax, which is essentially ordering a copy off Discogs at an inflated price at a later time. So that's what I'm going to have to do. I have gone to Record Store Day in the past. Not a great experience for a guy who like has a phobia of crowds, but I do have a couple of cool things to show. I'm a sucker for 10-inch vinyl. Them Crooked Vultures, I'm sure you've heard of. It's Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age with Dave Grohl and John Paul Jones of Led Zeppelin. And this has an exclusive track on it. I think it was called Highway 1, and it was really good. It was like one of the highlight songs from this band. Then I have this Anthrax live EP with Medusa and Only. So it's Joey Belladonna singing a John Bush song, which is why I bought it. Very cool. I believe this is off of that Big Four box set, which was like a 4-disc set of, but try finding that. That's not cheap at all. Frank Zappa, Peaches on Regalia. I bought this because Peaches on Regalia is the only Frank Zappa song that my wife was going to let me play at our wedding reception. So personal reasons. Speaking of Def Leppard, this is an exclusive acoustic EP. This is not on any of their live box sets or live albums. Very cool. To their credit, this has not been reissued yet. A lot of these Record Store Day things, as we know, do get reissued. Some Metallica for you. This one was I think this was a standalone single. Did this song ever go on an album? I don't know.
No.
First pass version and live version, and those are different from the versions that you could download. There was more on iTunes that you could download.
Yeah, nice.
Here's a cool one. Joe Satriani, Surfing with the Alien double.
Love the cover. I love the cover.
It's altered, as you know, because the original cover had this fellow on it, the Silver Surfer. And
copyright reasons, perhaps?
They lost the licensing in the intervening years, had to redesign. But the cool thing is this has a Joe Satriani stripped version of the album on the second record without any of the solos. Steve Vai has done this before too. It's kind of designed for guitar players to do their thing over the bed tracks. But I find it interesting to listen to just from a song point of view, hearing how these songs are built without that lead guitar on top. You can really hear the structure and some of the backing instruments better.
Yep.
I don't know if you remember last year, but this baby here was very, very, very valuable last year.
I've got that. Yeah.
It's nice. It has 3 exclusive bonus tracks on side. What is that? Side H.
Side 8. Whatever.
There you go. You can see it in focus now.
Yeah.
Some of those were released on a Jump single, but I believe Dream Is Over is definitely exclusive to this record.
Yeah.
These are red vinyl. Now, here's what ticks me off, Peter, is that I paid, a pretty penny in late tax to get this last year, and now you can buy it on black vinyl, the exact same album on black vinyl. So I paid all that late tax for a color, which, okay, this is cool, right? We agree that this is cool.
It is.
Explain to my wife why I paid more for a color, and you might get a blank stare. It's kind of hard to justify sometimes. I really hate when Record Store Day stuff gets reissued. I have an Alice Cooper. Remember when they did that reunion with the original Alice Cooper band? They did a live album that was exclusive to Record Store Day, and it's beautiful. It's deluxe. Now there's a CD version with a bonus track and a DVD. That bugs me, Peter, because I would have held out for that version.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Do you play that Van Halen album much? To be quite frank, I've paid it 1 or 2 spins, and it's just gone back in. But now that you've discussed it, I think, well, I'd like to play that again. Do you play it a lot?
I do not play it much. I have nothing against Van Hagar, but I've never particularly cared for this album. It has too much For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge on it, and not enough 5150.
Yeah.
And also Hagar in his book says a lot of the stuff was re-recorded in the studio and they kind of lost the vibe. And I don't know if that's what I'm hearing, but I don't know. It's
not bad. It's not bad. I don't think it's a great live album, but it's not bad. And if I played it, I'd just probably dip into a side. That's what I do with a lot of those. I may not be inclined to hear the live album from start to finish, but I'll dip into a side, like side 2. I look at the songs and I go, oh, I feel like listening to that. So
right. Yeah. I'm the same. I'm basically playing the live bonus track side, essentially.
Yep. Yeah, gotcha.
Here's another one this is actually my very first record store day, and I did get everything I wanted that day, but this was exclusive. Yep. These tracks were not released before at that time. Now there's an entire Live at River Plate live album. Yeah. And I don't know how that compares to record store day prices for 7-inch. You didn't buy any 7-inch. Do you happen to know if that is comparable to what a 7-inch would go for at record store day today?
$40, I'd say.
40 bucks.
40 or 50 Aussie. So the currency conversion, that could be even more in Canadian dollars or US dollars.
I think you and I think we're roughly on par. Here's some Zeppelin, by the way.
Nice.
So that would be, I wrote about this last week, but I was at the Toys R Us store where they now sell vinyl, and they wanted $33 for the new Beatles single. So.
Yeah, I saw that at the record store for $40.
The new Beatles single. Okay. So, yeah.
Well, not so new, but the last Beatles single or whatever. Right. Yeah.
And go to Rock Daydream Nation for an excellent review of that Beatles single, incidentally.
Oh, gee, did I cop crap for that? But anyway, I still stand by that opinion. And to be quite frank, Mike, I was just saying to my mate, nobody talks about it anymore, that song.
That's true. And I have yet to buy it. I haven't bought it yet. So.
It's like Hackney Diamonds. People talking about that album anymore? No, not really. No. Yeah, it's just flavor of the month. But with Record Store Day, there are a couple of things that if I went to with Record Store Day, the day after is look at the websites, see what is left over, and you can order online because a lot of the record stores allow you to order online 24 hours. So the actual day itself is strictly physical. You've got to be in the store, purchase it, but the day after, that's when you can do the online ordering. And there's so many record stores that are doing it via Discogs, or directly with their website, and you can pick up what you may not have got at the record stores. So there are a couple, if they were there, I probably would have got. Like, I wouldn't have minded getting The Last in Line, the 40th anniversary of the Dio.
Yeah.
Even though it's picture disc, and a lot of people say, picture disc, the quality's not as good, but it's good for a collectability type of thing, and it looks good. And I don't think I've got The Last in Line on vinyl. I've got it on CD. So
right. So
if I saw that, I would have got that.
I find picture disc to have a bit of surface noise a lot of the time. But yeah, like you're not listening to The Last in Line on picture disc because you want to hear it on vinyl, because you're just going to play your CD more than likely, right?
Yeah, because the vinyl's thinner, isn't it? Because you're pressing against the picture. So that's why you're saying about the surface noise. So you can't really compete against a 180 gram thick piece of vinyl, because the quality is never going to be as good, because they've got to put that thinner piece of vinyl or whatever it is to wedge that picture in. But that's one that I wouldn't have mind getting. Motley Crue was popular. That Supersonics Alternative Takes album. I think that's the first time that's been on vinyl.
Yeah, the first vinyl release of Supersonic and Demonic Relics.
Yeah,
it's dicey, that album, but it's got some gold on it too.
Yeah, well, that got snapped up by the kids in front of me. So before it got to me in the line, the red marker pen went out and they crossed that off. But that's another thing. Like, there were so many young kids. Oh, I feel like I'm old now, but there were so many younger kids. And when it came to the classic rock and the hard rock and that sort of music that we like, I think that we were comfortable because they picked up their Paramores, they picked up their 1975s or whatever the more fashionable bands. I think like they had at the record store 20 copies of Paramore, but Thin Lizzy only had 2. So
I actually want that Paramore. That's a split EP with David Byrne from Talking Heads.
David Byrne, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I actually do want that. I like they do Burning Down the House, I think. And
yes,
David Byrne covers their Hard Times, which is my favorite Paramore song. Hey, I like Paramore. Take it easy.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
yeah, actually, thanks for reminding me. I am going to look for that one when everything's blown over.
Yes.
And, the dust settles, so to speak.
And the dust settles. But look, I think there's something for everyone. Look, there is a downside to Record Store Day. Those people that just do it from a purely commercial perspective and buy it and put it on eBay and try to make a profit, But fans like us, we buy it for the the joy of music.
I buy these so I can listen to them.
Yes,
I have. I want to listen to this. I want to hear that. I think this is one you mentioned the other day too.
Love it.
You want to hear Def Leppard with Frank Noon on drums? That's so early that Frank Noon. Look at them; they're kids. Here you go, the Def Leppard EP right there.
I stacked that EP against their later albums. Actually, I rate that very highly. If I did a ranking the Def Leppard show, that would be way up. I think that's probably one of the best Record Store Day releases. Yeah. So
that and
there's
the Joe Satriani EP, the original white Joe Satriani EP, is another complete gold treasure.
Yeah. There is a Def Leppard live album in this year's Record Store Day, 2023. I don't know where, but Def Leppard are always well represented in Record Store Day. Every year there's something they put out. But there's always seems to be artists every year at Record Store Day that you can just run a clock to. There's always a Ramones. There's always an Iggy Pop. There's certain artists that turn up year and year. Fleetwood Mac. I think ever since Def Leppard
every year.
Yeah. Without fail.
Yeah. Metallica. Definitely a lot of these landmark bands. And it just depends on what you want, what color you want it in, and where you live, basically.
Yeah.
But you got to get in line. This is basically a sneak preview of Record Store Day for a Canadian and American audience. So I'm going to do my best to get this online right away. But I'm just going to come right out and say, Peter Kerr, thank you so much for giving me essentially this exclusive preview of Record Store Day 2024.
Absolutely. And apologies, folks, if it's a little bit rusty in some of the bits, but it's all very much in the moment. And
you're still...
The adrenaline is still, pumping through the veins. Once you get those records and they're tucked under your arm. So this afternoon, crack open a few beers, put the feet up, listen to a little bit of vinyl, and enjoy. And that's what it's all about. Music.
Well, thanks, Peter, and everybody. Good hunting at Record Store Day. I wish you well. If anyone wants to do me a solid and pick me up a Def Leppard, a Paramore, or an Eric Carr, I'll owe you one. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.
Friday night, we're off to the races. Come and see familiar faces. Uncle Meat, Rob Daniels, Jon Snow. metal band. Grab a stack